So welcome everybody to this other conversation about getting out of debt joyfully. And today I'm with Margaret, and she's all the way in Austria.
Yes. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, our pleasure, Margaret. So we were talking about getting out of debt joyfully. So it's this book that Simone Milasas wrote a couple of years ago, but there are so many things inside that book, so many tools, so many stories. So what I'm curious to ask you today is, what was it for you when you first, got your hands on that book? Like, how did you find it, or did the book actually find you?
Yes, exactly. It was like when as if I'm German or Austrian, it was like, what is this book about? Yeah, it's a debt. Why should you read a book about debt? I don't have debt. So this was really a funny thing. And then I just bought it. Then in the beginning, it was only in English.
Mm-hmm.
And I started reading it, and it was like, oh my God, this is not only about debt, this is really about creating your life. And what my favorite tool was, Simone Miller says she was 170,000 or 80,000
I think it was
dollars.
180. Yeah.
And she was still creating her life. This was one of the things I really was like, oh my God, other people would have killed them. And she was like, oh, you still have to create your life. This was really one of my favorite tools in there. And where do you uninvite money? Like, when you go to a restaurant and you see a really nice steak, and then you go, oh, it's $50 or €1. I can't afford this. So, and this is what I really do nearly every day, to say, oh, everywhere I uninvited the money today, because this is the case, what we are doing with this, then I pot and poke the hell out of it.
Yeah, because it's like, in a way, we're not congruent. We're talking about like this great life that we would like to have, and like nice things, but just little simple things like those, like, I'm not going to eat this because it's too expensive. I'm not going to order this because it's too expensive. Or why am I even going out to a restaurant? Like, if I want to eat, I can cook at home,
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Like, to save
Yes.
money.
Yeah, to save money. Yeah. And this is really, so I do Access since 2013. And this was also, I didn't have the money to become a CF then. It was like I was choosing to be a CF. It was like in my first foundation class that I attended, I was like, I have to do this. This is really exactly this what I'm asking for, to be to have a hedonistic life.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm still not in the hedonistic now, but I'm on my way,
Were there things before that you just considered that were like too expensive or too much, like, for you to purchase?
Yes, it was every class I took, the first past class even, and it was then 2013, I guess it was €180. I was like, what? €180 for one day? And now it's like, oh, I'm going to David Kuber's Write Voice for You class to the castle. Oh my God, it's only €1,300. Oh, this is cheap. This has changed really my whole life. This
Right.
the poverty universe.
Yeah, it's like your point of view creates your reality. And like, if you change that point of view of how, like, €180 is suddenly something that's not as expensive, or maybe even something that's €2,000 isn't that expensive at all. People look at you and they're like, are you crazy? Do you
Yes,
have no
yes.
idea what money is?
Yes. This is where we make money so important instead of creating our life.
Yeah.
And as it's in the book, I guess, money follows joy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's also one tool. So my daughter and me, we are owning a horse, and this was also like, oh my God, a horse, you have to pay for this every month, and then maybe something like the veterinary or this. And now it's like, oh, the horse, it's 300 euro a month. Oh my God, it's not so expensive. And this is an interesting point of view. If you use this tool, interesting point of view, I do have this point of view. I had a session yesterday with Graham Crosskill about business. And he said, are you interesting point of view? And yeah, and even Dane did a call in December and in February that he was doing interesting point of view instead of being interesting point of view. And this really created a whole new universe for me. You don't have to do or say things, you have to be it. This was really like a world game changer to be it. So, and I'm also a being you facilitator. And this, and I chose to be a being you facilitator and a joy of business facilitator now in the whole COVID time.
Wow.
And this is really like, wow. And I'm still sitting with this, and every day I'm thinking, I have to acknowledge. And this is also not the way we should do it. I have to acknowledge it. I'm acknowledging it so that more can actualize. And this is the word I love. You know, Francesca Fiorentini said in her beginning times, acknowledgize.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dane suddenly said, oh my God, this is wonderful. It's actualize, it's acknowledge and actualize in one word. So if you don't acknowledge what you created in your life, then nothing more can actualize.
Yeah. And it's about acknowledging everything, right? I
Everything,
mean,
yeah.
everything that you currently have in your life is what you created. And I think that what I like most about it is that when we see debt, we judge ourselves like, I was so wrong when I did that, or how did I do that, or like how did I let things get so out of hand, like when you create like this big debt, and there's all like this regrets and all of this, like, I don't know, just things are not what would Dane call it, like the yuck
Yes, they are.
behind all of it. And it's like we focus sometimes so much on that you don't get around it.
Yeah.
So what would you say, like, for people that are precisely there in that situation, that okay, they just acknowledge what they created, and it's like, now how do I get out of this, because I want to change it.
Yeah, and there are wonderful tools in this book. If you didn't read it before, you should maybe now get on it, because how does Gary say it? You have to look for allowance
Mm-hmm.
of you and have no point of view. It's going in there exactly again. And when you do have no point of view of it, you can be anything. This is what I love about this book. So just acknowledge it. And when you can be anything, you can also do anything. And when you can do anything, you can have anything. And when you can have anything, so I remember it correctly, you can create anything. And when you can create anything, you can also create a different world, not only for you, also for others. So this is just what made me so curious about this. How can I be everything of me? And sometimes maybe lose loads of people. So, but loads of more people came into my life, like you, loads of people. This is what I like about Access, just to have interesting people in my life and to
Yeah.
create out of possibilities.
Yeah, and I think we were talking about this in some other conversations, that sometimes people are like willing to change something, but they're just willing to change this part of their life and not the rest of it.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
not the relationship, the job, your friends, and it's like you don't have to change all of it, but sometimes it's like, if you're changing this part of your life, this doesn't match the energy of this anymore.
yes. And this is exactly what you said now, it's when we change one part of our life, lots of parts can change also, and we do not have to do hard work on it. It's just because of maybe one choice to become a joy of business facilitator during COVID. It was like lots of people were looking at me like, how did you afford this? And I said, maybe I didn't think about it. I was just choosing it and asking myself, am I worth it?
Mm-hmm.
So just a question, what have you decided you are worth for or at, or how many what are you willing to have showing up in your life? I don't know if this is correct English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
And what
yeah,
if you could have never enough money, but always too much to spend it? What would this be?
I like that question because it takes you to a space where you don't even have like you might not even have like a clear thought about what you're actually asking.
Yes.
And it's like when you're playing with these questions and when you're just you're curious and you play with this energy like you were like a little child, right? um
Yes.
it's like I remember when I first started in Access, I didn't get it. I was so
Exactly.
into like I just saw happy people with money. That's like the thing that I could remember. I just saw happy people with money and I had no idea how they did it. And
Mhm.
it was just something that I wanted,
Yeah.
that's like, okay, I'll have that.
Yes. This is well put. Exactly. And also debt. It's like what is debt? If you wouldn't know what debt is,
Yeah.
what else is possible then?
So you were mentioning in the beginning that when you actually read the book, you had no debt.
Yes, and this was so funny, and then there were so many tools and things in there. So to have a 10% account, I never heard about this before. To honor me first and then pay my bills, or to have money. Yes, and in the beginning it was like to have money in my pocket more than 100 euro. Oh my God, somebody could steal it from me. And then I put 500 euro in my pocket, and then I put gold coins in my pocket. And it was like really being aware about my handbag. And I didn't, the first time I was really sitting with the money and holding my bag and was
Like in
like,
your
oh my,
bag like this.
yeah. So everybody would know that there's something worse in there. And now it's just like this. Oh, it's so nice to have money around me and to have it in my pocket and not spend it, just to have it in my pocket. And this was also a thing that I did the Getting Out of Debt Joyfully class, the 1 year class twice. Yeah. The first year I paid for it, and the second year I was translating it. So it was so funny because I was considering to do another 1 year long program. And then it's also the question, is it light or heavy? And it was so light to do the Getting Out of Debt Joyfully class. And this led me exactly into translating for Access too. So it's not always about the money. It's about doing stuff that you really love and enjoy. Like I love translating. This is really so joyful for me. And I do it nearly every day.
Wow.
So it's not only about the money.
Yeah, and you never have like a clear idea, and that's what I like because in a way the universe surprises you as
Yes,
when you start making that demand like for more money, where does money actually come from? You know?
yes. Does it grow on trees or where does it come from? So it's the energy you be.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is really how much more can you be to be scary sometimes. And this is what I recognized a few weeks ago, that it's that we Access people are really oftentimes scary for other people.
You are very true in that in that
Yes.
comment.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's what is it, what do you think that is scary for people? I mean, for people that do not do access and they suddenly meet this access person. What do you think scares them the most sometimes?
Maybe that we are not, most of the time, we are not judging. I wouldn't say all the time, most of the time, because no facilitator is perfect. And we're just creating, we are asking questions, and we are not searching for the answers. Maybe it's this, but I still don't get why we are scary sometimes. Do you get it?
No, we're so adorable. Why would we be scary? I don't know, but it's like I think that it's that I mean, it is scary because I understand that like you said there's no judgment, or most of the time there's no judgment. There is an overflow of joy. It's like
Yeah,
if you see access people, most of them are happy all of the time. And they're just like giggly and they can't stop moving, and it's like they don't get it. And then I think that besides of being scared, people being scared, people do not do access. When they notice that they most of the people just have fun,
mm-hmm.
they they have these lives where they really do whatever they want. You know, if they travel, if they do classes, if they don't do classes, but they see that they have money, and it's like it's a combination between hate and frustration and a lot of judgment, obviously.
Yeah,
But it's like that's why we were talking about that. You start changing this part of your life, and then this other part of your life, it's like people start disappearing. Jobs start working. Maybe the house where you live, you don't feel that it's enough house for you, and you go in and look for a bigger house. You know, it's like all of this changes start happening simultaneously. It's not like linear. You know, it's not just because like, oh, I now have a better relationship with my spouse, and then I'm going to get more money, and then we're going to change the house. It doesn't go exactly like that. It might happen, but it doesn't go like in that order, right?
yes. This is really well put. And it's sometimes if you sit in a restaurant and you are like, we were with Chrissy Dorn and Paul Kearney at the castle for the CF training, and we were going for dinner. Yes, dinner, and we were laughing so much, and all the people around, they were looking at us. How can they dare to be this happy and laugh about this stuff that is not really funny? This is so.
Yeah. Margaret, and you're Austrian and you laugh.
Yes, and Austrian and in German. We are laughing. This is awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
I
maybe
know.
also that people are scared about the whole laughter thing.
Wow.
You should be serious in Austria.
Yeah, you should be. And judgmental and
And judgmental. And this is, you just have to sit and say, okay, who the fuck does this belong to?
oh my
And
God.
expand your awareness.
And I mean, we've talked about a lot of tools, like who does this belong to, the interesting point of view, the 10% account. Um, so many right now that I think that this is just awesome because it's a glimpse of how you can start
Yeah.
using the tools, and the greater possibilities that are available for you if you just really like allow yourself to use them. And what if like if we just allowed that, you know, that space and that change, like how much contribution can that be like for your money flows, for your past expenditures,
Yes,
for
this is
anything
really
else?
important what you said now. It's your past expenditures. It's not debt.
Yeah. That's also something that you can find about in the tool, in the book, a tool that's in the book. So my last question, because we can continue talking
Yes,
because
we
I'm
could
loving
talk
this,
how long.
is so you have facilitated the getting out of debt joyfully class. What was
Yes.
that class for you? What was that experience for you facilitating that class?
It was, we did it online with Lale Hancock, and it was over 4 or 5 days, because the online classes are sometimes it's after 3 hours. It's nice to have a little break or a longer break.
So your brain actually functions.
Yes. So, and it was like, when you facilitate a class, you always get something out of the class too. And this is the wonderful thing about this, also about co-facilitating and not only doing it. I love doing classes on my own. I don't facilitate so much classes together, but when I'm doing it together, it's so much what I can receive from the other facilitator, how she says it, how me, what I am saying, and that's such a contribution. And I learned so much for myself out of this class. This was awesome.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Well, thank you very much for this conversation. And where can people find you? What are you up to? What are your next classes?
Thank you so much for inviting me to have this little talk,
Yeah.
or this long talk. Yeah, my next class is in Switzerland. I had it is from the 7th or the 9th and 11th of October. It's Joy of Business, a 3-day class. And it is not on now. And all my classes are most of the time on the Access website. And I'm setting up a Kajabi account, because this is much easier for the audios to store in there. But this is not on, it will be in October. And I'm ready to do a half-year program, but this is also not yet on the website, but it will come soon, a half-year program, getting out of debt joyfully. And this is just amazing what you can do in half a year, not only in a 2 or 3 day class, just expand out over half a year. Can you imagine?
Imagine that. If you get change from a book and then from a master class and
Yes.
then from a 6-month program, it's like, wow.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, looking forward to it. So
Yes.
now you know where to find Margaret. And thank you very much for having this conversation with me again. So hope
Thank
to
you so
talk to
much.
you soon.
Talk to you soon. Yes. Have a nice
Thank
day,
you.
or a nice week, or evening, or whatever.
Evening, day, whatever, whenever you see us. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.